Hello, everybody, and welcome to elPablo FC. And today we're basically going to be doing the UEFA Champions League um, fixture preview for today, as at the time of recording for most of you. Basically, we're going to be talking about everything in between with regards to all of the legs and the potential for a remontada, basically, in this one. So walk with me as we go. So is this a Champions League rescue act for the round of 16 second leg? Let's keep it going. So welcome to the official, official business end of the Champions League. Now, the league phase, experiment is actually behind us, and we're down to the final 16 fixtures. But then looking at the first leg scores this week, this isn't just about football, it's about survival. We have some of the most lopsided score lines we've ever seen in years, as you can see from, the thumbnail and all of that. Alongside a few absolute, coin flip ties that could actually go to 120 minutes if you look at it. First and foremost, we're breaking down the Tuesday and Wednesday slates of the UEFA Champions League. And the question on everybody's mind is, can Manchester City pull off the impossible? And is the Norwegian fairy tale real, especially for the Bodo Glimt side? And can Liverpool find that Anfield magic one more time? So we're going to start with Tuesday's heavyweights, and we're going to start with the Etihad and the Bridge. We'll start with these big ones, especially for Manchester City versus Real Madrid. City are trailing 3-0 and in any other era you'd say it's over, but this is the Etihad we're talking about. However, Madrid aren't just winning, they are defending with a discipline, and basically the one that we haven't seen in years. David Alaba is back, but obviously he will not start because Rudiger is already back in the lineup. Rudiger and Dean Howson are back in the squad, which also bolsters the back line, especially the return of Alaba, that already looks very impenetrable in the first leg. So for City to progress, they need a remontada for the ages. A remontada for the ages, basically, for City. And then we shift to London, Chelsea versus PSG. It's already 5-2 to the Parisians. Chelsea season is effectively on the line here. But the news coming out of Cobham isn't good. Rhys James is officially out with a recurring hamstring issue. Without his delivery and leadership, overturning a 3-goal lead against a PSG side that thrives on counter-attack feels like a massive ask. PSG basically are the defending champions for a reason, and they smell blood. And the truth is, when you look at, what PSG has to play for, this is kind of like a revenge mission for them, considering that they've beaten PSG already 5-2. They've beaten PSG already in the Club World Cup, so PSG beat them 5-2, and we want to finish the job and knock them out of the UEFA Champions League. So, will this be a comeback for Chelsea, or would PSG just finish the job? What is my prediction for the City game? It'll probably look like a comfortable 1-0 win for it could be a 1-0 win for Manchester City, but I will predict a 1-0 win for Real Madrid. And for Chelsea, I would predict a 2-0 win for PSG because I think the game is already done. And then obviously the next next round are the tactical chess matches. We'll first start with um, the purists, and we call them the Arsenal versus Bayern Munich. This is the tie of the round. It's 1-1, and Mikel Arteta versus the Bayern Leverkusen coach. In the first leg, it was a tactical stalemate until Kai Havertz, who else stepped up, right? Kai Havertz stepped up and scored that penalty, and it felt like it was a dubious one, but it was a late penalty. But Opta Supercomputer is heavily backing Arsenal at home, giving them a 79% 79% chance, to progress. But don't sleep on Leverkusen because they play with a fearlessness. They gave Bayern Munich a hard one over the weekend. So they play with a fearlessness that can rattle the Emery crowd. And if they get an early goal, then it's done. Across the continent, we also have the shock of the tournament so far. Sporting versus Bodo Glimt. The Norwegians are also 3-0 up. And let that sink in. 3-0 up. These guys beat Manchester City on their way to this round of 16, right? And they were so phenomenal in the group stage. Now they aren't just participating anymore. And you could remember their season is over and doesn't start until I think their season starts in the summer, right? And then it kind of ends somewhere around October. And then they kind of play a lot of like off-season games in preparation for what lies ahead. So if Bodo Glimt score once, Sporting needs five, and this is the ultimate, David and Goliath second act, basically, if we're looking at it. So they're not participating anymore, as I said. They're dominating, and Sporting needs a perfect night in Lisbon for this to be done, right? For them to qualify. And then we go to Wednesday night's action where we have the Anfield night versus and Spanish drama in this one. With Wednesday night, it brings us Anfield with Liverpool versus Galatasaray, where Liverpool are 1-0 down. And historically, this is exactly where they want to be because they've progressed in 9 out of 13 European ties after losing the first leg 1 goal away. Now, the Anfield factor is also a cliche because it is true. Now, Galatasaray also tried to freeze the game, but if Liverpool get one in the first 20 minutes, the roof could come off. The roof could come off. So let's have a look and observe because obviously Liverpool are not in a good place right now when it comes to form. So most likely they would want to take full advantage of Galatasaray trying to push forward. Galatasaray, would they be defensively resolute? We will observe and we will keep you posted. Now in Spain, it's Barcelona versus Newcastle, the return leg as well. Another 1-1 draw in this one, and this is a fascinating one because Barcelona are limping literally. Their injury list is a mile long, especially in defense. Meanwhile, Newcastle's Anthony Gordon is having a Ballon d'Or caliber season with 10 goals in the competition already. Lamine Yamal saved Barcelona in the first leg, but can a teenager carry this historic club past a relentless Newcastle side with a very powerful defensive midfield? Obviously, midfield combination rather. Obviously, Tonali was injured or was sick or ill in the weekend, and he rested, and he'll be well ready for this game with Joelinton already back. So that midfield is going to be too powerful for Barcelona? We'll let you know on Thursday. Now it's going to also be loud. It's going to be tense, and it might just go to penalties. We'll be here to observe and let you know. Now, the next one is the almost decided ties already. Like the almost decided ties in this one. We have to mention Bayern Munich and Atalanta. It's 6-1 to Bayern already, and this is essentially a training session for the Bavarians right now. Harry Kane is hunting the Golden Boot. Currently trailing Mbappe's 13 goals already. Expect Bayern Munich to rotate, especially with Alphonso Davies still managing a hamstring strain. But don't expect Atalanta to find 5 goals in Munich. So that's I think this one is done. And then finally we meet Tottenham versus Atletico Madrid. It's Spurs are 5-2 down. Going 3 goals against Diego Simeone's team is usually a death sentence. But there's also a glimmer of hope because Jan Black is a major doubt with a muscle strain. And if Spurs can actually test a backup keeper early and often, then the atmosphere in North London can basically get really interesting. And we'll be here to observe. We'll be here to see. But overcoming Atleti's dark arts with a 3-goal deficit is the hardest job in football. Spurs are coming off a 1-1 draw against Liverpool, which kind of looked like it saved their season somehow with an extra point, but they're still close to the relegation zone. They might want to fight. And then they have the goalkeeper situation, which has not really helped them. Now, my predictions for the Tuesday night game with regards to I'll give you the Chelsea one. With regards to the Arsenal versus Leverkusen, I'm seeing a potential 1-1 draw there again, which will go to extra time and then penalties. Maybe Arsenal could sneak that one through. But Bayern Leverkusen can actually be a good team to basically trouble Arsenal. And if they go 1-0 up and defend, then that's done. With Sporting, Bodo Glimt, I expect Sporting to win the second leg, but then Bodo Glimt could just go through. And then maybe Bodo Glimt could shock Sporting, but I expect Sporting to win the second leg because Sporting are home. And then on Wednesday, we have Liverpool versus Galatasaray. I expect that to go to a 1-1 draw and then Galatasaray go through. It is what it is. And then in Spain, Barcelona versus Newcastle, and I expect Newcastle to shock Barcelona with a 1-0 win at the Camp Nou to dump Barcelona out of the UEFA Champions League. And then the decided ties, obviously, Bayern Munich can steamroll Atalanta with with another like 3-4-5-0 win. And then Atletico Madrid versus Spurs, maybe that could go to down to the wire. Atletico Madrid have not been very consistent this season, so we look at them and probably go to give this a 2-2 draw. Spurs will give it a good fight, and then we will see how things lock out. Now, my locks for the week are Arsenal and PSG to cruise through, but obviously with the way things can, Bayern Leverkusen could sneak in, but the upset could be Newcastle to silent Camp Nou, as I said, with Newcastle, kind of scraping through, and then the road to Budapest becomes very narrow. And Thursday morning, the power dynamic in Europe will actually be very different and interesting to behold. So we're going to analyze the entire fixtures Thursday morning. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe as we continue to bring you analysis and deep dives and stuff with regards to all things Champions League and the world of football. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.